Hi, I'm Splashes, and welcome to our second episode of Fix My Build. And today, we are working on a build from my friend Barry, who sent me in a build. Uh, so, in this series, we take someone's build, and you can send in your own build, and I'll explain how to do that at the end of the episode. And then we go through, and we make some changes to them, and try and improve the build and make it prettier. So, first things first, what do I like about this build? I kind of like the color palette. And it's got a bit of shape to it. Like it has stuff back here. But I think the thing I like the most about this space is the terrain surrounding the build. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to really build this house into the terrain. And sort of what I'm picturing in my head is making almost like a little hobbit house, but in sort of a modern style. Which sounds really conflicting, but I think it'll look good. Though there are a couple things that do need fixing. Uh, I'm not a big fan of all this dark oak actually, but we're going to need to sort of break up some of this farm a little bit so that way we have a little bit more room to work with on the house. As well as the house just needs more details on the exterior, and I think that'll help. So, first thing, we can go ahead and take off these fence posts off the top. So I've gone ahead and done a couple quick things here. I've gone ahead and pulled the uh, fence off the roof, because we'll be covering up the roof quite shortly. And I've also gone ahead and changed up this porch a little bit, just so that way we have enough room to sort of work with. Because as it was before, this stuck out. So there was a bunch of room over here, but there was very little room over here. And this building doesn't really seem to make sense in this thing, and I think I might actually want to get rid of this little outpost, even though it adds a little bit more shape. I think it's going to get in the way of what we're going to do later on. It does go down to the mine, but I'm sure we could work that out to come into here somehow. Also, I broke a hole because I figured, oh, this must be the way into this little chunk. Maybe there's a bedroom or something in here. No, there wasn't any way to get inside. I was very confused. Uh, but beyond that, just color-wise, it doesn't really seem to fit the pattern. And unfortunately, right here, we're using a lot of logs. And actually, I'm wondering if it might look better if we alternated these logs. Grab some spruce logs. You know, I should grab spruce wood, actually. Spruce wood. Also, when you have these patterns, it's good to try and make sure that they actually line up. Oh dear. It does add a little bit of color variation, but I think what I would probably rather do is just like pop mark these. So maybe go like that, and then over here, and come in here like this, and then stick some more stuff down here, just so it gives this area a little bit more color variation. Also, I think the color of the spruce wood goes better with the dark oak versus this stuff. The bark. Jeez, I am having trouble speaking. The bark of the dark oak wood seems to go better with spruce. So let me just go through and just change this up a little bit. Okay, that gives it a little bit more texture and makes it look like it's actually made out of multiple different pieces of wood. so you can actually see like all of the individual logs that it's made out of. And we might even be able to add in some oak, but I'm thinking the oak's going to be too light. I'm thinking it's going to be too light. Oh yeah, that's way too bright. But that's no matter. So now we have a little bit more color in here. But what I'm thinking I'm going to do is go ahead and make some arches that will extend up to the top of the roof, and then maybe extend up that way a little bit and come across here. So that way we have like these bits of this hill hanging over the top. And I think in the corner it's going to sort of come up to a point like it was a cliff ledge. And I think that'll make it feel a little bit more believable with the shape, and I think it'll make it really cool. I'm also going to go ahead and get rid of this guy, which doesn't seem to really serve it any purpose. And once we have those bits done, we can start to think about actually integrating this guy into the terrain, and I think that'll be really pretty. So we've gone ahead and done a couple things, but the most obvious and notable thing that we've done is we've gone ahead and added in all of this framing here around the outside. And that's going to give this build a lot more shape while still having it actually be basically a square building. Because now we have all these curves, and we can see a clear curved roof line that's going to start to form as the terrain sort of moves up and down around this house, really building the house into the terrain. And I think it's going to be really, really pretty when it's all done. But you can see we've also added in this little bit of a balcony here, where the stuff gets up really high. And unfortunately, with the scale of the house, these pillars are just kind of thick. But it doesn't look as good if you take out every other one. I mean, and it would be difficult with how this house is shaped, or the size of this house, to really make the stuff much wider. So I think we'll just have to deal with it. It doesn't look too great from this angle, but from these angles you can really see the curves here and all these curves, and I think it's really pretty. So our next big step is to build this into the terrain. So we're going to build up the terrain around here. There's going to be a hill up here that's going to connect over here onto this roof, and we'll have a big, almost like a cave in here, with a passage through here. And then the grass and stuff is going to climb all up and over this thing, and I think it's going to be really cool, and I can't wait to see it. So let's get on to the next stage. And with that, we've gone ahead and added in all of the terrain here for our build. And this is a way that you can add a lot of shape to build without actually changing the shape of the build. So there is... Unfortunately, there's some... I should probably close this. Just close this up. No, excuse me. Excuse me, you're in the way. Should really set this to peaceful. Something like that. Just so that it's enclosed. Is it open back here too? Yeah, it is. Of course, this is the only downside with doing this stuff. You do have to make sure you actually mob-proof it. Let me just go ahead and set the difficulty to peaceful, just to make sure I don't blow anything up. There we go. That should get rid of all the mobs. So, as you can see, we've gone ahead and we've added this hill here, which climbs up into this peak in this corner, and then descends down along here. And then we have this little piece that sort of extends out, so it's still raised over here. And then it sort of, down here, comes all the way down to the floor, and then we have this little raised bit in the back, so we have access to this little corner back here, and now it's all nice and shaded in. I think that looks really cool. But this house still has fundamentally the same shape. It's still 3 squares stuck together like an L. But now it looks like it has a lot more shape to it. So the next thing I think we're going to do is go ahead and come back here, take these walls and drop them back a little bit, and try and bring a little bit more organization to how these windows are placed. We're also going to go ahead and take the, instead of having the blocks go across horizontal, I think they'll look better if the strip logs go vertical. So let's jump into that then. So I've gone ahead and changed the direction of the strip logs so they're vertical now, and I think it looks a little bit better, though I'm still not huge in the color, but I don't think I'm going to change that. But honestly, it doesn't seem to have made that much of a difference. I also went ahead and changed out the windows a little bit because they were just sort of all different, and substituted in a stained glass instead of a white glass. But because it already has these things coming off the front of it, it already has so much depth to it and shape to it that you don't really notice it just being offset by that one block. So it probably wasn't that important. But what this will let us do is, our next step is to go ahead and add detail. And I think there's 4 or 5 main things I want to do for detail. I'm going to go ahead and stick some pots on here. Like little flower things. I think those will be pretty. Stick some flowers and trees up here. Put some lighting around here because we have a lot of stuff here and we don't have any lights outside, and I think adding some lanterns will make it feel more alive. And adding some vines hanging down from this, and I think that should really help finish up this build because it's already framed pretty well by this terrain, because it's not like we were building it in a creative world. This was very survival world. So let's go ahead and add in that detail. And I think with that, we have gone ahead and added in a bunch of detail to this place. Not actually really that much. We've gone ahead and we've added in a bunch of trees and flowers and stuff into here. We have a little pond up here. Oopsie, this is off. Have a little pond up here with some seagrass inside of it. The main thing we added is all these leaf stuffs, or that's immediately visible at least. All these leaf stuffs, all these vines that are hanging down into the building. We've also gone ahead and added a whole bunch of lanterns. We added a couple flower beds, but you can't really see those too well, and they're only really noticeable on this side. I was going to have them on the second layer too, but I decided I didn't really like that. But I think this build has changed and improved a lot over what we first done, or what we first started with. And actually, I think this house would actually look really good if we punched out all this birch here and replaced it with dirt. This could actually be a really awesome dirt house, because it fits that sort of theme well. And I might build something like this in one of my own worlds at some point, as like an interesting starter house for. That'll be one heck of a cool dirt house. But oopsie, wrong side. There we go. There's the house. But with that, I think this build has improved a lot. Now, if you want to send me one of your builds, you can send me a link on Twitter with your world uploaded to CurseForge, and if possible, try and stick some pictures in there of your build so I have a better idea of what I'm working with, and tell me about your build, what it's supposed to be, or what your idea was for it, or your inspiration. Because adding that bit of story to a build really helps a build a lot and makes it easier to build sort of what you're looking at, because Minecraft is a very subjective game, and there's a lot of creative possibilities that you could take something in a completely different direction from what maybe the person wanted. Just make sure to upload your world to CurseForge and send me a link, and the information will be down in the description. Thank you for watching. Bye bye!